All right. Welcome everyone to another episode of Daily Rates with the Mortgage Calculator. We are a lender and broker in over 30 states with over 300 loan officers. We'll go through our live rates for some of our standard loan programs and then do a deep dive into our USDA loan options. So if you see anything you would like down, full loan estimate, please get with our team or drop a comment. Our team will be happy to help you out and we can send you over that info. So let me go ahead and get started with today. Today we will be going over, of course, all of our standard programs, and then we'll do a deep dive into a few examples I have pulled up here for USDA properties in USDA eligible areas and our borrowers that are eligible. So first, let me change my screen and we'll get into today's rates. All right. So first off, we always want to take a peek at the, let me scroll up, Treasury. And this gives us the best general ideas of where rates are going, especially when we have all kinds of different program options. This shows a general landscape of the marketplace. So we'll look at that real quick. And it is going up, so definitely not the best we would like to see, but we always want to put it into perspective here. And again, we are pretty much at 1-year lows. So there is a lot of up and downs throughout the week, but we always want to put it into perspective and say that our borrowers that are out there shopping is one of the best times, and affordability is going up. So great time to get out there. And now let's get into today's live rates and refresh this. That way we have the absolute latest. And we always set up a standard scenario. We compare all the loan programs since we have so many different options. We definitely want to set up a standard scenario. We set up a single family home, 500,000 purchase, 300,000 loan amount, 60% loan to values, what that corresponds to, 760. 40% debt to income. That way we can get options for all the loan programs. And first up here is our conventional option for a primary home. Rates coming in at 5.5 for conventional today. Final APR 6.23. And we always typically want to compare that to an FHA option if our borrowers can't qualify for conventional. FHA allows more leniency on some credit issues as well as a higher overall debt to income ratio typically. And does require upfront and yearly mortgage insurance. So rates today come 2.25, but when you add in all the fees, APR comes in at 6.156, so a little bit higher than conventional, which is pretty typical there. So definitely always compare the APR. And for our eligible vets, active service members, and surviving spouses, VA is an amazing program if you are eligible. Rates today coming in 5.375, APR with all the fees included here, 5.639. So notice even though the rate looks a touch higher than FHA, always a better option typically for our VA borrowers as the overall is lower. So definitely use that to compare. And our topic for today, something we always go over, are USDA options for properties in USDA eligible areas. We'll go over that here in a second. The rural areas of the country are typically covered in those maps. And if our property is eligible and our borrowers are eligible, these are amazing options. Rates for USDA coming in as low as 5.125, final APR 5.791. So typically our borrowers would be comparing a USDA option to FHA or conventional, and it's typically a little bit better there in that scenario. And where we love to help our borrowers that may not qualify for any of the standard options, we have our QM, alt doc options. If our borrower doesn't qualify using full documentation, many times we're self-employed borrowers, we can use alternative docs such as bank statements, 1099s, P&L, etc. Rates today coming in at nearly the same as conventional, 5.875, final APR 6.145. So just a touch higher than conventional alternative docs, which is pretty amazing. And we can use alt doc options for investment properties as well. Rates today coming in at 6% flat, finally 0.321 to use those alt docs. And we want to compare that to conventional for an investment property coming in at 6% now. The final APR 6.311. So just a touch cheaper there, which is pretty typical, but many of our investors prefer to use their alt docs. And our favorite alt doc option, very specific, DSCR, no income or employment information needed at all. We simply use the estimated rents from the property to determine a DSCR ratio. If the estimated rents can cover the expenses, that's a ratio over 1, which is what we use for these examples. And this first example has a 3-year prepayment penalty, which is standard for these type loans. Rates today, 5.999. Final APR, 6.307. even cheaper than conventional and alt doc options. And if we have a 5-year prepayment penalty, we can make the rate a touch lower and cost a touch lower as well. Final rate comes in 5.875, final APR 6.181. Now we have a ton of different options, but there are basics there. I want to get into our topic for today, a little bit advanced here. So first thing we need to find when we're looking at USDA properties is an actual property in a USDA eligible area. So the first thing just as I found one of the areas closest to me that did have some properties for sale, and I pulled up this. So a nice little small house, looks great option for a first-time home buyer, which is kind of our example here. So we have a purchase price of $375 on this for sale, and it's in the Clewiston area. I'll show you that here on the map here in a second. So the first thing we have to consider when we're looking to offer a USDA program is the property in an eligible area. So in this example, I looked up this property, and you can see here this property is in an eligible area. I'm here on the USDA map. And if we scroll out here, you can see this is Clewiston, the general area. That's why I was looking there. And all of these areas are ineligible for USDA. So all of the areas here, all the major cities, typically ineligible. But if you look here, if you scroll out against Florida, a lot of the central Florida areas are eligible. And many other states have lots of eligible areas, really. It's near all the city centers that are ineligible. So lots of options here for our USDA borrowers to be near those major cities. Now, the second thing we need to check, in our example, we obviously have this specific property. So I have to go to the actual guide for that property. And here in this county, I put a 4-person household. So the limits here for a 4-person household, this example, they cannot make more than $119,000. So not only are there property limits, but always keep in mind there are income limits. A lot of times, income borrowers won't qualify for the USDA program. Now, if our borrower qualifies and the property qualifies in this example, here's our first demo. We can take USDA up to 100% LTV, which is pretty amazing. So 0% down, and this is for that exact property. And I already went over the income limits. So as long as we can stay within those income limits, we have these options here, and the monthly payment, as long as there's not many other expenses for the borrower, should be able to allow them to make this property work. And rates as low as 5.25 for discount points and costs, but we can also go up to 5.875 right here to actually get some lender credits, $1,400 in this exact closing. And you see here the purchase price, loan amount, and everything is set up for USDA. There is a funding fee for USDA, and you see that included in the loan. Now, I have another example for this exact property. Again, we can use USDA in some examples. This doesn't work for every example, but there are options down to as low as $550 and sometimes even lower. Technically, this is going to be manually underwritten loan, so very complicated, but as long as there's a good reason why our borrower has typically a lower FICO than is typically approved, we can sometimes get this approved. So this is the pricing for a 550 example FICO, and still can get the 100% LTV per demo scenario. Obviously, a little bit higher rates and costs, and we have to obviously document why. There's a reason why we have the lower score there, but if we can document that, pretty amazing. We can still get 100% LTV, 6.75 rate for 2.375 discount points of cost. And unfortunately, there's no options for a lender credit when we have the lower score here, but 7.25 rate has a lower cost of 1.5 discount points. So great options here, even for our that have lower credit or even sometimes no credit. Those are also options here for USDA for our manually underwritten loans. And the demo option, if this property, perhaps the seller doesn't want to sell and just would like to get a lower rate so it's more affordable. Here we can use USDA for a rate and term refinance, which is the other common request, and we can go to 100% LTV as well. So kept the same exact example. If it's worth $375, we could get $375 if that's what we actually owe, and we can take it down to 5.25. This is also a new USDA loan. There are options to go from USDA to USDA, but this is a new USDA loan for those familiar. 5.25 rate, 2.5 discount point to cost. And if we take it up to a 6% rate, we can get up to 0.5 in lender credit in that example. So this was also at the higher FICO score of our first. So those are some great ways for our borrowers to use USDA if the property is eligible and the borrower is eligible. We love to offer those 100% LTV options to afford a lot of flexibility for our borrowers out there in those areas of the country. So again, questions or like a full breakdown, a full loan estimate that is specific to you, please get with our team members. Go to our website, you can request a quote, and one of our licensed loan officers, over 300 loan officers in 30 states, can give you a hand. So thanks everybody for joining us, and we'll see you later this week.